Hello and welcome back to the Academy of the Magical Art. I received a question the other day inquiring about a very vast and a very broad subject that I'm going to try to explain my personal views on in a summarized form without going too much into depth. The message I received stated this: I wanted to email you, but couldn't find your email. For the record, that personal email address is frederick5@gmail.com. Started checking out your YouTube channel, and I think that you are doing a good job with it. Thank you, by the way. I do have a question for you. Everyone talks about karma and how it can affect your life as it comes back to you. My question is who or what set it up, and how did they determine what is right? Most always, not always, just mostly, right and wrong is a matter of perspective. It is my belief that karma is self-regulated, meaning if you think you have done good or bad, you will reward or punish yourself accordingly. I would love to hear your thoughts and to learn what you know regarding this. My apologies if you have covered this in a video that I haven't seen yet. Thank you for an excellent question. This is something that I have heard much discussion on. And I've done quite a bit of extensive research on this subject myself, just wanting to know how it applies to my own personal life. Now, I want to state again that these are my own personal views and beliefs from my own personal experiences. I don't expect anybody to subscribe to these beliefs or adopt them as their own. And if you have a different idea on how something like this works, please do feel free to share, because I am always interested in hearing other opinions and other various thoughts on how our universe operates. Being open to such things is what creates a multifaceted thinker and believer and creates growth. So to start off, karma originated in the Hindu belief system. Most people in the Western world assume that karma just translates to if you do good, good things will happen. If you do bad, bad things will happen. But as we all know, that is not how that works. I've seen a lot of good things happen to bad people, and I've seen a lot of bad things happen to good people, which if you try to apply that thought of karma to these situations, it just doesn't add up. And if something doesn't add up, it generally means that it's not right. So before we get into karma, we also need to have an understanding of Dharma, our Atman, and our own personal contracts. Now, each of us have the Atman, or the higher self, our soul. This is what leapfrogs through time, incarnating and reincarnating time and time again. You know, this is your eternal self and your spiritual essence, truly comprising who you are. This is not your body or your corpse. This is not your present identity. This is not your natal chart and how your soul is influenced by the energies you were born under. This is you as you travel through time. Now you, your eternal self and your soul, have a function and a job to complete, which is to grow, to change, to transmute and transform the self into a better, more divine being. In order to do this, we sign contracts. We predetermine what it is that we want to learn or need to learn in order to become, in essence, what our soul is driving us towards, in order to complete each task as it comes across our plate. So most Westerners, especially within the Judeo-Christian systems of belief, feel like when we die, that's it, and you will go up and you will go down based on your own personal relationship with God or your actions or whatever. That is not necessarily true. However, in essence it is, because according to your karma, the actions that you take in your life are going to prepare you for your next life. The way you set your table today will determine how you eat your meal tomorrow. So keeping that in mind, having a universal contract, having these jobs that we are supposed to complete within each life, our dharma, what we do along the way is going to determine whether or not these jobs are completed the way that they were designed to be. If an individual was sent here to complete job A, B, and C, and instead their free will dictated that they're going to do elemental P, their karma is going to be affected in such a way that they have to come back and they have to repeat some of those lessons. Only because they didn't properly set their table, the way that they eat that meal in that next life is not going to be so pleasant. Whereas if that individual came here and followed the steps that they predetermined they were going to follow, they walked down the road that they stated that they were going to walk down, and they do so with stride, integrity, and pride, learning the lessons that they are supposed to be learning along the way, they are going to be able to enter into a better life the next time around. The tally system is going to be in their favor, allowing them to reincarnate into a better version of life, a quote-unquote heaven, rather than having to learn things the hard way and walk around the mountain again, quote-unquote hell. Dharma is very, very important in the Hindu faith and is almost alienated concept in the Western world, which I believe is a contributing factor to why people have these misconstrued versions of karma that they are living under, not really knowing how this operates. Now, back to said question that brought us to this topic. This individual said something of huge importance. It is my belief that karma is self-regulated, meaning if you think you have done good or bad, you will reward or punish yourself accordingly. Now, the universe is mind and the all is mental. This is something that we covered in some depth in the video on the Hermetic Principle of Mentalism, and it absolutely applies here. When we adopt a belief, when we choose to look at life and the world around us and our experience through a specific lens, oftentimes our life and the events that happen to us will move and act in accordingly with that lens that we are observing it through. The way you believe your life is supposed to go, your life will go that way. The beliefs that you adopt towards yourself about how you are going to live and how it is going to affect you when you do so will manifest, because that is your mentality. That is your perception of reality. And reality shapes itself to your perception. Your perception does not shape itself to your reality. Observation becomes an extraordinarily powerful thing when you truly understand it. Again, I want to repeat this not to be redundant, but to get the point across. The way you observe your life will dictate how your life goes. If you observe your life as being a crapshoot, your life is probably going to be a crapshoot. And if you observe your life as being something good, it will become something good. This is why people such as Bob Proctor and Napoleon Hill, when speaking about wealth and obtaining riches, tell you that it all starts within your mind. If you have a poverty mindset, you will live in poverty. If you have a wealth mindset, you will live in wealth. Your life will adapt itself to your mindset, not the other way around. And a lot of people will argue that and say, well, I'm just making an observation. I'm just looking at it and it's coming out of my mouth. Yes, that is true. It's coming out of your mouth and it's giving that manifestation more force. It is giving it more energy to solidify itself in that state. But if you look at a situation and you look at it from a different angle, a different perspective, and you look at it as a good thing, that situation will change and it will become more and more of a good thing the more good energy you feed into it. Anyways, to get back on track here, Dharma is a mortal force that orders the universe. It is the power that keeps the world in motion, that keeps the universe intact. It's what dictates the cycles of the earth, the seasons, the life and death of things, and it is maintained and its order is kept through our personal actions. To put it another way, the inhabitants of the world, humans, animals, everything else, is what the world uses to operate smoothly, or not smoothly. Dharma is a force that is dual. It is completely circumstantial based upon our actions. It is a universal governing occurrence without which things would fall apart. To use an example from old Hindu story about Dharma, most religions and most philosophies and most people would hold the action of murder as being something bad, something wrong. Across the board, no exceptions. There is no reason why anybody should ever kill anything. In my opinion, that is absolutely asinine. There must be life, there must be death, and both occurrences take their course whichever way they see fit. Sometimes murder is necessary. It is something that must take place for the greater good to happen. For example, let's say there was a king. He was a good king, and he was a just king, and he was a peaceful king, and this king despised war. and everything that it represented. However, this king's kingdom was under attack. It was under attack from another country that wanted and envied what this king had. They decided to invade this country, and this king was given a choice. Being a pacifist, being one who did not condone killing, could lay down his weapons and lay down his crown and say, "Come in and take advantage of my people, rape, plunder, pillage, everything. Take what you want, stay if you want, leave if you want. I'm not going to do anything about it because I'm a pacifist." Leaving thousands, potentially millions of people in the wake of this devastating action caused by country B. Or the king can leave his crown on his head and pick up his sword and call his armies to arms and say, "Defend our people." From that perspective, is murder wrong? Because in either instance, either road that king would have taken, people would have been killed, people would have died, people would have suffered. But is it the people that are inflicting the suffering, that are receiving the suffering caused by their actions? Or is it the innocent people of the kingdom being attacked that are going to suffer? The king decided to take up his sword and protect his kingdom, thus being able to complete his dharma, his task, his given contract that he concurred to, and rule his kingdom and keep them safe and keep them prosperous. However, if he would have laid his sword down, he would have been responsible for a much worse thing, thus creating bad karma for him in his next life as a result of not following his dharma in this life. It was his personal duty to be the best king that he could be, and in not doing so, he would have created a negative consequence in his life to come, on top of creating a horrible consequence in his current life. When we begin looking at things such as our soul contract, we have to ask ourselves, what is it that we are here to learn? Because in coming here to learn a lesson, oftentimes we will choose to place its opposite in front of us. In order to learn patience, I will surround myself not by Zen masters, but by people that are going to push my buttons and teach me patience. If I would like to learn love, I will put myself in situations where I'll be shown hate. And oftentimes, these lessons create deep pain within us. But it is that exact pain that causes growth. It is only being placed in situations that are uncomfortable for us that we are able to learn the lessons necessary so that we may walk and conduct ourselves in ways that will build us good karma by following our dharma and completing our tasks. Self-development, purification, refinement is not a process that is supposed to be painless and coast right through. It is something that is usually done through extremely hot fires, extraordinarily cold waters, in situations that bring us out of our element and refine us through pressure. You then look at some people that have extraordinary luck, life circumstances that they are able to just coast through and live in wealth and luxury and not really have to worry about anything. But it is those same people that really don't learn a whole lot of anything. And personally, I would much rather have wisdom and have gone through lessons and trials and tribulations that put me in a position where I am able to not only complete my tasks, but help others do the same. And through such things, I know that life after life, my karma will continue to perpetuate in a positive direction, having attained much along the way. We begin looking at things like the rule of three. What you do is going to perpetuate back at you threefold. If you believe it's going to happen and that course of action will take place in your life, and if you believe that it won't, well, it won't. Eventually, everything that you do will have a price. Everything has a cost. Every action has a consequence. Good actions having good consequences and bad actions having bad ones. But it is not always in this life that you face those consequences. Sometimes you do, but more often than not, it is the universal grand scale that is tipping back and forth based on our own personal actions and reactions to situations that we've chosen to put ourselves in that will determine later lives, which I personally am far more concerned about than what is happening today. Today, I'm not worried about what's going to happen tomorrow. I'm worried about my actions today and ensuring that I am doing the right thing, knowing that tomorrow will be better, and it will continue to go that way. And yes, I will be confronted with trials and tribulations, whether my actions in this life are good or bad. Being good does not mean that you get to coast through life not ever experiencing pain. That isn't how karma works. Being a soul, saying I want to ascend and I want to grow, ensures that I will have to walk through fires. And I know that those fires aren't as a result of a bad action or a bad word yesterday, a week ago, or 10 years ago. I know that those fires are as a result of my universal contract, and how I react to them will determine what is going to happen in time to come. To the individual that sent in this question, I want to thank you again for spurring a very interesting topic and something excellent to cover. Please do continue to send in questions. Give us things to discuss and speak about on the channel. I don't ever really see us running out of information, but every time we get something good like this, it's pretty exciting. And it stirs up some conversation in my own personal circle, allowing us to come to a lot of these conclusions through conversation, personal study, and experience. I want to thank you for joining with me today at the Academy of the Magical Art, and until next time, blessed be.